Hello everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today's webinar is titled Reconstructing the Rare Disease Paradigm, Rethinking Recruitment Strategies in Rare Disease Clinical Trials. Today's speakers are Laurie Witherwax. She's the Vice President of Project Management, Cardiovascular and Metabolic Diseases here at Worldwide Clinical Trials. We also have Dr. Ateri. We call her Dr. T. She is the Executive Director of Therapeutic Area Medical Lead for Medical Affairs here at Worldwide Clinical Trials. We're also extremely excited to have our guest speakers as well joining us. We have Tom Crone. Tom is from Antidote. He is the Chief Development Officer there. We also have Marie Rand, and she is the Managing Director of pH Aware Global Association. Okay, so next up, I'm going to transition this over to Laurie to set the stage about the current landscape.
Thank you, Jackie. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining our webinar titled Reconstructing the Rare Disease Paradigm. Medical research continues to advance in heart disease, and with February being Heart Month and Rare Disease Month, we'll highlight medical research aspects of both conditions combined in the rare cardiopulmonary disease of pulmonary arterial hypertension, or PAH. Our panelists today will discuss the current state and medical aspects of heart disease and PAH, as well as the importance of patient advocacy in the PAH research process. In addition, we'll cover how technology helps connect patients to medical research opportunities. We'll review a case study, and finally, we'll bring it all together in a real-world setting under a new paradigm. We'll start with an overview from Dr. Terry Tedlatza, our medical expert.
So that's a good time to speak about the cardiovascular medicine and about what we potentially can do to reduce our risks for cardiovascular diseases. By the end of the 20th century, we did make a huge step forward in treatment of cardiovascular diseases. We had the new treatment approaches and we were very successful. However, it is still a huge problem for healthcare because it is the main reason for deaths, accounting for a third of all deaths in 2015. It continues increasing, and by 2035, it is estimated that 45% of the people in the US will have at least one issue related to cardiovascular diseases. And of course, by estimation of American Heart Association, the disease cost will double in 2016 to 2035. This is because we are not very efficient in targeting the genetically determined risk factors for cardiovascular diseases. And a huge problem for that is the rare conditions. Next slide, please. Rare diseases affect less people, but we count more than 7,000 rare diseases, and they affect more than 30 million Americans. Collectively, rare diseases affect 1 from 10 Americans, and we need to know the challenges, opinions, recognition, referral, and care of this patient. The world's highest priced drugs are for rare and ultra-rare disease and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars annually. Rare diseases are difficult to recognize and difficult to treat. Next slide, please. In majority of cases, rare diseases are caused by genetic disorders, and by treatment, we need to either silence or increase the possibilities of the genes to cure the disease. From these rare diseases, huge problem is rare cardiovascular diseases. Rare cardiovascular diseases affect even less people, but they are harmful, they are life-threatening, and unfortunately, in many cases, the first manifestation of rare cardiovascular disease is sudden cardiovascular death. This is why we need to predict, recognize, and treat the patients efficiently to save their lives. Huge part of rare cardiovascular conditions is are patients with pulmonary arterial hypertension. And even we have the new drugs to treat PAH, and we're successful in increasing survival of the patient, still morbidity is increasing, and it counts 15 cases per million. It is difficult to plan the studies in PAH and develop the drugs, because PAH can take approximately 2 years to diagnose, and it affects all ages. Those patients are dispensed around the world. This is difficult to find homogeneous population, and those people are treated with different specialists, including cardiologists, pulmonologists, and pediatricians. And extremely difficult is to find the population which is treated same way, because unfortunately in different regions, pulmonary arterial hypertension patients can receive different standard of care. We have flexible, adaptable, rare disease combination therapy program in PAH. We were able to successfully increase survival of the patient. But from updates from 2018, we have the new opportunities to cover more patients, to recognize the disease early by screening and diagnosis, to cover more patients with early beginning of combination treatment, to get more higher compliance and better benefit, and of course, finally, to reduce the cost of the treatment. We have the new hopes in early combination therapy. We should consider lessons learned from our past cardiovascular and pulmonology experience, and we need to plan very carefully to design the studies, document evidence-based therapy, and translate it into the clinical guidelines. And this is the goal for medicines development for pulmonary arterial hypertension. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tedlatsa. Marie Rand from PH-Aware Global is going to help us understand the important role patient advocacy plays in connecting patients with medical and the scientific research community, as well as research partner, among other key aspects. Marie?
PH-Aware Global Association was developed and co-founded by 3 pulmonary hypertension community members. I'm Marie Rand, the managing director. My partners, Steve Van Wormer and John Hess, and I all have or had children who have pulmonary hypertension and have lived with it in our lives for anywhere between 17 and 25 years. So over the course of time, we've seen the great change in the landscape of the development of PH drugs and the changes it has caused in the quality of life of our patient population. PH-Aware's intent is to use technology to create a global footprint and address PH patients' needs around the world. We join together with medical professionals, caregivers, patients to create innovative ways of using technology for research. As a patient advocacy group, we offer many things. We connect patients with clinical trials, and we do that through partnerships with industry partners who are also very highly invested in advancing clinical research. We connect sponsors with CROs. We are very connected with our industry partners and all those who have a stake in PH research. And again, we wish to use activity and building relationships as a means of advancing research. We have a very high connection with the medical professionals and scientific experts in our field, and basically know all of them. And as a result, we have the opportunity to be in touch with any of them at any time to be able to speak about any topic we choose. In addition to that, we actually host a podcasting series in which scientific experts and medical experts share a lot of their knowledge about pulmonary hypertension so that we can help patients better understand the disease, but we can also help physicians who may not know PH particularly well understand the disease more, and also have the more recent studies that are happening come to light in a way where they're easy to understand and available to everyone. We do patient focus groups where we work with large groups of patients, and they are able to give input about the products that they use in conjunction for their medications for pulmonary hypertension, and share information about how they feel in regard to their general health and what they hope will come for them in the future. And we provide a great deal of information. We are a completely digitally based nonprofit, and we share all of our information online, easily accessible, easy to read, easy to understand, especially for a first-time patient, newly diagnosed patient, when they're very confused and they're very concerned. We have a series of podcasts and videos and information on our website to help them understand the disease better. We also share information broadly about clinical trials so that a patient can understand more clearly what it takes to be part of a clinical trial. We try to demystify the parts that seem scary to them and help them through the idea of being part of the future of changing the world of pulmonary hypertension. Participation in clinical trials is the only way that we are going to advance medicine, and so we try to help enforce that. And the reason I, in particular, am so interested in that is because my daughter, Chloe, was part of the very first clinical trial 25 years ago, and was able to be instrumental in changing the course of development of the first drug. And in pulmonary hypertension, we now have 16 approved medications and 1 approved for children. So we've come a long way in the past 25 years, and it's very important for patients to be part of that.
Thanks, Marie. And this is Tom Crone. I'm glad to be here on this important topic, and certainly honored to be a close partner to PH Aware. Antidote is a digital health and patient engagement company with a mission to help connect patients to research and to help researchers connect to patients. We do this through a unique patient-centric platform we call Match, Antidote Match. So let's back up and think a little bit from a patient point of view. In rare diseases and conditions with unmet needs, and PH is certainly one of those, patients are often looking for alternatives and support. Marie's been on that journey. And they often find themselves in online communities like patient advocacy groups, like PH Aware. Unfortunately, and I come from the industry, from Big Pharma, research information is hard. It's hard to understand, and it can be cumbersome at best. And the core reasons for that is, generally speaking, research is shared for scientific transparency. It's very scientifically written. It's shared from a disclosure point of view, out of compliance, not out of patient engagement or ease of use. And it's typically written from a study point of view in free text. In fact, there are over 2,000 different ways in eligibility criteria to say the patient cannot be pregnant, but it means the same thing. So Antidote, we standardize all trial design information, particularly the free text of eligibility criteria. And we do that across all recruiting studies, both those that are recruiting and in startup. And we make it easier for patients to understand. And we do that by taking these complex scientific rules, the eligibility criteria, and turning them into patient-friendly questions as best we can. In the same way, if a patient walked in and talked to a nurse at a hospital, she wouldn't ask the patient if they've recently had a myocardial infarction. She would ask the patient if they've had a heart attack. So how do we think and actually move the information from this free text, highly variable and non-patient friendly into a standardized fashion that's patient relevant? That's what we do. But more importantly is we do that and then we distribute our platform capability where patients are already gathered and organized on the web, particularly in patient advocacy groups. Antidote has over 260 online organizations that use our platform in the communities. We offer it for free, and we do not require patients to identify themselves to us. We are a service to help patients understand their options. That said, almost 50% of the people who use our capability register with us. And the reason is we provide a valuable service to them, and they're looking. An example of a valuable service that we provide is we alert patients when new studies come that are relevant to them, match their profile, or maybe there's a new site or a new location near them that opens up. Change happens, so we keep our platform up to date. So that's the core of what Antidote matches, is to help patients understand, find, connect to studies. We also serve sponsors and researchers. And when we do that, we leverage our partner network and the engagement insights we have from our match capability. But we also move to a very direct, targeted outreach through our network, specific to the study or the program in which we're working on. Finally, we add a full set of services. This is clinical research, has to be done in a professional managed process, IRB, Institution Review Board or Ethics Committee, oversight. And we add complementary services such as multi-step qualifications, all the way through to patient and site support at the site. Ultimately, you have to close the last mile. The patient needs to move from their online digital experience through a qualification and engagement process ultimately to arrive at the site. Most of these rare diseases, difficult diseases, are still treated at institutions, at sites. So partners like PHAware, other advocacy groups, are great for what they do with patients. We are a complement to them in the world of the research and recruitment support. We know those processes, we know it very well, and fundamentally we come back to the goal of closing the gap between patients and research.
Thank you, Tom. As an example of prioritizing the patient engagement and perspective in medical research mentioned by Tom and Marie, it is a case study for a global phase 3 PAH program managed by Worldwide. In this study, there were numerous challenges. The study was complex. It involved drug-device combination therapy along with patient-facing technology. And because PAH is a rare condition, patient recruitment and retention challenges were understandably heightened. There was also distinct regional characteristics we found in PAH sites and patients. This required adaptation of our team structure to accommodate site and study level complexities. As a result, we conducted targeted activities, and in the process, we gained key learnings. We developed regional site profiles to help predict operational success. The patient pathway and process for study randomization was actually different among regions, and we interacted with them accordingly. For example, in Europe, physicians were more actively engaged in patient recruitment, and they were reported as the main role contributing to recruitment at sites. On the other hand, in North America, it was site dependent, with half being physicians as the main recruitment contributor, and in the other half being study coordinators in that role. Another region differentiating activity we provided during this study was immediate and responsive local support in the local language, which was key to site engagement, especially for sites with technology questions needing immediate answers. And this is especially important because, again, this had patient-facing technology, and with the patient there waiting for an answer, it was imperative that we get back to the site very quickly out of respect to the patient. To promote process integrity, we conducted tailored study technology and process retraining of our team and our sites in collaboration with the sponsor. And we also promptly conveyed site feedback to the sponsor from study participants about the study device and treatment. This pathway can supplement the patient focus group activities that Marie just described that PHAware Global conducts. These targeted activities produced results. These and other activities were deployed and resulted in a 128% increase in average monthly global enrollment during the last 7 months of the study, using 7 less sites than protocol. We gained reusable insights, especially at the site level, translating to enhancing the patient study experience as well as enhancing operations. We improved patient retention because we implemented patient-focused visit processes and support based on what we learned during the study and also through our interactions with PH-Aware Global. And then finally, we developed reproducible models for how we operate with sponsors and research partners in general for PAH studies and rare disease. So our key successes overall were that we used flexibility and expertise to overcome study complexity. And then our partnership with PH-Aware Global helped us better understand PAH study participant considerations, which then translated to better site and patient engagement. Another medical research component that's especially important to rare disease patients, including PAH, is real-world evidence. The overall goal is to have approved treatments that serve medical, scientific, and patient-focused needs outside of a clinical setting. So understandably, there's an inherent lack of research data for rare diseases. In response to that, the FDA is increasingly involving patient advocacy groups in trial design. That's encouraging news because this engagement is resulting in more meaningful endpoints and use of real-world data to improve efficiency in capturing data for rare disease research. Along with that, there's a trending growth of patient registries designed to deepen the understanding of patient quality of life issues such as health and mobility. Capturing that data in an evolving landscape and establishing evidence in actual practice requires in-depth understanding of patient quality of life measures. It also requires experience in navigating potential regulatory constraints, strong analytical capabilities, and finally, having a deep understanding of the day-to-day challenges and needs for rare disease patients. At the research partner level, collaborating as we demonstrated here today and in our PAH case study has strengthened our ability to align medical research with patient needs. So now that there's a shifting paradigm in rare disease research, under that paradigm, how do we bring it all together? We bring it together with effective collaborations with global patient advocacy groups and their research partners who are knowledgeable about the nuances of patients and medical research at the global level. In reconstructing the rare disease paradigm, a global presence, medical and scientific expertise, patient-focused insights, local regulatory knowledge for cardiovascular and rare disease medical research is no longer just advantageous. It's essential. That concludes our Reconstructing the Rare Disease Paradigm webinar today. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jackie.
Great. Thank you so much, Laurie. Great presentation, everybody. I just want to say thank you again to all of our speakers. As you can see on the screen here, we have all of their email addresses as well as some final thoughts from the team. If you would like to ask any of our speakers a question, we invite you to reach out to them directly. And thank you, everybody, for a great webinar. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thanks, everyone.